One cold morning, Clara Holt opened the door of her cabin. She stopped in shock. Outside, the ground was full of snow. In the clearing, many huge figures were standing. Their breath came out like white smoke in the cold air. Their dark eyes were looking straight at Clara. In the middle stood the leader, the Bigfoot chief. He was taller and stronger than the others. He stretched out his giant hand. In his hand was a basket. But it was not the basket Clara wanted to give. It was another basket, the wrong one. This basket held old photos of her lost grandchildren. It also had papers where she had written her sad story, how a cruel tribe had taken the children away many years ago. Clara always hid this basket under blankets. It was her secret pain. She had not noticed that she gave this basket to Bigfoot by mistake. The Bigfoot chief looked at the photos carefully. His forehead wrinkled. The whole tribe began to whisper. The air felt heavy. Then there was silence. And then the whole forest shook with their roar. Clara had always lived in the forest. She was born in Black Pine Valley. When she was young, she married a woodcutter named Samuel. Samuel built their cabin with his own hands, cutting wood from the trees. For years, life was simple, hard, but peaceful. In winter, they collected wood. In summer, they picked berries. Their children's laughter filled the air. But the forest was not only beautiful, it was also cruel. One day, Samuel died under a falling tree. Clara buried him on the hill behind the cabin. For years, she wore black, then gray, then only her old shawl. The children grew up and left. Her daughter Ruth married and moved to the city. Her son David went west to find work. They only returned for holidays, sometimes bringing the grandchildren. Clara lived for those visits. The twins, Matthew and Alice, filled the cabin with laughter again. Clara felt her lost happiness return. But one summer day, everything was taken away. The children were playing near the river. A cruel tribe came, men who wandered the forest roads. They had stolen before, but this time they took the children. Clara ran after them, screaming, but she was old and slow. The men disappeared into the forest. The children were gone. Clara told the sheriff. He did not believe her. "Children run away," he said. "Maybe you just lost them." He thought she was just a foolish old woman. Weeks turned into months, months into years. No one searched. No one cared. Clara made her own memorial. She wove a basket from willow branches. She placed cloth inside, put in the children's photos, and her notes about that night. She always hid the basket under blankets. She could not throw it away. Every winter, when storms shook the trees, Clara sat by the fire with her shawl and cried silently. That year, the storm was the worst. Snow fell for 4 days. The wind pushed hard against the cabin. Branches broke with gunshot sounds. Clara's hands grew sore cutting wood, but the fire ate it quickly. She sang old prayers to fight the silence. On the 4th night, she heard strange sounds. Weak, small, almost lost in the storm. She listened. Again the sound. Not wind, not an animal, something else. She lit a lantern and opened the door. Snow hit her face. The porch was buried. In the light, she saw 2 small shapes, half buried in snow, shivering. At first, she thought they were children. But no. They had fur on their bodies. Their eyes were large and shining. They were not human. They were Bigfoot children. Clara's heart raced. She felt fear, but also pity. She lifted them up. They were heavy, their fur frozen. She brought them inside, closed the door, and laid them by the fire. For hours she cared for them. She rubbed their fur dry with blankets. She fed them bread, softened in milk. They whimpered softly, but they lived. One reached out with long fingers and held Clara's hand. Tears fell from her eyes. She whispered, "Don't be afraid. You're safe now. Grandma is here." In the morning, Clara cleared the window. What she saw outside stopped her breath. The whole clearing was full of giant shadows. Dozens of Bigfoot stood silent. Their eyes shone in the light. The silence was heavier than the storm. The children stirred. Clara lifted them and stepped onto the porch. The cold cut into her bones. The Bigfoot chief stepped forward. He was so large he filled the doorway. Clara placed the children on the snow. 2 young Bigfoot ran to them, hugging them. The little ones stopped crying at once. Clara thought they would punish her, but instead, the Bigfoot stayed at the lady's house for a while. They thanked her for saving their children. Then they noticed the photos of the kids in the basket, and the lady told them the story of their kidnapping. The chief looked at the pictures. Then he looked at Clara. The tribe grew louder, whispers turning into growls. Then suddenly, they all roared together. The ground shook. The valley echoed. The mountains cracked. And then, just as suddenly, they turned away. Step by step, they disappeared into the forest. Their roars filled the night. It was not the sound of hunting. It was the sound of war. The next morning, the storm ended. Weak sunlight touched the snow. Clara stood by the window, afraid. The clearing was empty. Then shadows returned. The Bigfoot came back. Their fur was covered in ice. In the middle was the chief, but this time, he carried not Bigfoot children. He carried Clara's grandchildren. Clara stumbled onto the porch. The twins saw her and screamed, "Grandma!" She fell to her knees in the snow. The children ran into her arms. She held them tightly, crying hard. She kissed their faces, their hair, their hands, again and again. After so many years, her heart was whole again. The chief bowed his head. He placed the empty basket on the snow. Then he put his huge hand on Clara's shoulder. Warm, strong, like a promise. Then he and his tribe walked quietly back into the forest. Clara brought the children inside. She wrapped them in blankets, gave them bread and milk. Soon they slept peacefully. Later, Clara took the green pine garland the tribe had left. She hung it above the door. In the lantern light, the needles shone. It was not just decoration. It was a sign. The true gift was not the basket. The true gift was her family, returned to her. Her hope, alive again. That night, as the wind changed, Clara heard 3 soft knocks from the forest. A signal, a promise. She held her grandchildren close and whispered, "I hear you. I will never forget."